Welcome everybody. I hope you are having a great day, and let's talk about Rumble and Google. Now, I know a lot of the news is focused on Parler and Amazon being booted off of Amazon's cloud hosting, Parler and the app stores being booted off of the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. And I know, of course, the news of what Twitter's been doing and all the censorship that's taking place and all this massive purge that is taking place, a coordinated purge from big tech that's taking place. And of course, it's all in collusion with the mainstream media and the Democrats who are manufacturing this false outrage and these false narratives of coup and insurrection and all this stuff, which is absolutely ridiculous, but they're doing it for a reason. And people that are watching this video understand why they're doing it. We all know why they're manufacturing this outrage, and the end goal obviously is a corporate takeover of the United States, and everyone that's aiding these corporations, they believe that they will get compensated handsomely for their efforts. But it's not only big tech. It's all the corporations are in on it. The very large corporations are all taking part in this massive deplatforming and censoring. Not letting people get on airplanes, not letting people have bank accounts, dropping payment provider services for Republicans, dropping book deals for Josh Hawley. They're all in on it, and I guess they all believe that they'll get rewarded by the powers that be, but they won't, and they won't succeed. But they're trying and they're making a big push. But anyway, we have here a story from another battle that's taken place, another David and Goliath battle. And once again, it involves a company that has Dan Bongino as an investor. Dan Bongino, if you guys don't know, I'm sure many people do, he was an investor in Parler. And he's also an investor in Rumble, which is a YouTube competitor. You can find the Duran's channel on Rumble. I haven't created a channel yet. Alexander doesn't have a channel on Rumble yet, but that is coming soon within the week. It's just really hard to publish to multiple platforms all the time. It takes time. But we'll get to that. We'll get to those channels on Rumble soon. But Rumble's been growing, and it's been growing a lot. And it really is a good service. I mean, the video uploads are really fast. The processing is fast. It plays the videos without any buffering or anything, any delays. It seems like it's a very solid, very well-built technology. And they've been around for a while. They're not a new player. They've been around for many, many years. So I think they have a very good understanding of how video works. And I think they have a very solid infrastructure in place. But they're pissed off at Google. They're pissed off at Google, and they're suing Google, and rightly so, because Google is suppressing their traffic. And Google does this to the Duran. You punch in articles from the Duran and you don't find anything. You find all the bad stuff get surfaced to the front page. All the good stuff is like on page 1000. So Google does this to pretty much any conservative voice. They just, throttle you down on the search and just pretty much shadow ban you on search. So no one can find anything that they're looking for. And they're very sinister in that they surface all the bad stuff, all the evil stuff they surface. I drink from my Duran mug right there. All right. What was I saying? Yeah. So all the bad stuff they'll surface, and it's really sinister and evil what Google does. But anyway, so much for Google's "Don't be evil." Remember that motto that they had, that vision, that value that they put out when they first started, don't be evil. Well, they got rid of that, and now we know why they got rid of that. Like 4 or 5 years ago, the company made a decision to get rid of the don't be evil tagline that they had, and now we know why, because they probably made a conscious decision. We're gonna get very evil. So the Wall Street Journal says Google is sued by YouTube rival over search rankings. So video sharing site Rumble, citing a Wall Street Journal investigation, alleges Google diverted traffic away from it toward YouTube. Video sharing site Rumble Inc. accused Google in a lawsuit of abusing the power of its search engine and mobile operating system to boost its YouTube video service over rivals. The latest allegation of anti-competitive conduct against the Alphabet Inc. unit. Toronto-based Rumble, which has become popular among conservative pundits, on Monday filed an antitrust suit in federal court in California, arguing that Google is unfairly rigging its search algorithms to place YouTube above Rumble in its search results. Rumble said Google's behavior cost it significant numbers of viewers and advertising dollars. The lawsuit also argues that Google's deals to pre-install a YouTube app on mobile devices running Google's Android operating system have unfairly deprived Rumble of viewers. Quote, Google, through its search engine, was able to wrongfully divert massive traffic to YouTube, depriving Rumble of the additional traffic users' uploads, brand awareness, and revenue it would have otherwise received, the lawsuit states. Guys, I'm going to play you a video with Rumble's CEO on Tucker Carlson tonight, and he explains exactly what's going on in the lawsuit. One quick observation that I have is that I remember during the Microsoft breakup, the antitrust, the monopoly breakup of Microsoft, I remember one of the key complaints with regards to Netscape was that Microsoft on its OS, with the computers that would run Microsoft OS, would have Internet Explorer already pre-installed, and that was an unfair advantage over Netscape. I don't know if you guys remember Netscape. I remember Netscape used to be the number 1 browser in the world. Everyone used Netscape. Then Microsoft decided to create their own web browser. They bundled it on their OS. Their OS would ship with the computers. And so people would have the Explorer browser already pre-installed, and Netscape went bye-bye. Netscape was gone. Closed, finished. And so that was deemed monopolistic. This is the same exact thing. Rumble is correct. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I would say there's massive precedent here. Because what is Rumble saying? Rumble is saying that phones which run Android, which is Google owned, so they're running the Android OS on the mobile device, and that Android OS, for example, on this phone right here, which runs Android, that OS comes pre-packaged with YouTube, the YouTube app. It's already pre-installed. Rumble then should either also be pre-installed, or the YouTube app should not be packaged with the device. Every Android phone I've ever used and ever had has always had all of the Google apps pre-installed. That's a no-no. That should not be happening, especially when you look at what they did to Microsoft with Internet Explorer. And they ruled that it was unfair that Explorer was pre-packaged on the Microsoft OS that would ship with computers. You have the same exact instance here. You buy your Android, you buy your mobile device, Xiaomi, Samsung, whatever the maker is. They have Android. They're running on Android, the Android operating system. And that Android operating system already has Gmail and YouTube and other Google services already pre-installed on that phone. That's an unfair advantage. And they also get into the search as well, how they're pretty much shadow banning Rumble on search and the costs associated with that shadow banning. It's going to knock your socks off when you hear what the Rumble CEO says as to how much this has cost not only Rumble, but the content creators on Rumble. So think of it this way. Not only is Rumble being hurt by the fact that their videos aren't searchable on Google search results, but the content creators are also being hurt because their content isn't going to surface on Rumble. So what do the content creators say? Why create videos for Rumble? They're not going to get as much traffic. I'm not going to get as much exposure, so I'm just going to stick with YouTube. Once again, it's an unfair, monopolistic practice. The only solution is you got to break all these services up into separate companies. That's what's going to happen sooner or later. Maybe not under a Biden administration, but sooner or later, that one's coming, folks. So anyway, let's get to the Tucker Carlson Tonight interview with the Rumble CEO, and I will leave it there, guys. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to this channel on BitChute, on Odyssey, PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar, Bitcoin down below. Let's roll the video.
Parler, not the only tech company to file suit against Silicon Valley today. Just hours ago, the streaming service Rumble.com sued Google in federal court. Rumble alleges that Google has been unfairly rigging its search algorithms. According to the lawsuit, Google has been able to, quote, wrongfully divert massive traffic to YouTube, which, of course, it owns. Chris Pavlovski is the CEO of Rumble.com, and he joins us tonight. Chris, thanks so much for coming on. It sounds like what you're alleging is a pretty clear crime under antitrust law, is it not?
Tucker, thank you for having me on. So, yeah, in our complaint, what we're alleging is that Google is self-preferencing YouTube in their search engine, and they're also pre-installing the YouTube app on all the Google devices. And specifically and uniquely within the complaint, and is very unique to us, is that we were able to show that Google has redirected about up to 9.3 billion visitors from to YouTube instead of having it to Rumble. If those visitors had landed on rumble.com, we would have generated over 100 million uploads on our platform, which would have resulted in damages well above in excess of $2 billion. But more importantly, who's getting affected here is not just Rumble. There's not just injury on Rumble right now. There's injury on over 2 million creators. And even further than that, I was one of those guys that was building up websites out of my parents' basement. And it really saddens me because imagine being a tech entrepreneur right now trying to build an online video platform. You absolutely do not have a shot. You don't have a chance. You have pre-installed YouTube apps on phones. You have a rigged search engine. And you have no ability to compete in this market. And that's why our complaint is extremely important to fight back against these tech monopolies that are unfairly rigging it for all of us.
Well, that's the argument against monopolies in the first place. They crush innovation, creativity, free thought, freedom itself. So Google clearly is a monopoly by any definition. Why do you suppose it has not been reined in?
So, you know, it's interesting because when YouTube was purchased by Google in 2006, late 2006, what we've noticed is that they've it's my opinion that they vertically integrated the YouTube into the search engine. And over time, they've continuously moved the goalposts over the last 15 years to make it more difficult over time for companies like us to compete. And one of the things that we allege in the complaint and we show is if you search funny dogs on Rumble, you're going to get funny dogs on YouTube, which is crazy. When you think about that,
yeah.
If they can rig the search engine for dogs, cats and dogs, they can rig it for anything.
Right.
And that's
right.
quite frightening.
Google should not have a monopoly on funny dogs, given all the other monopolies they have, including on public discourse. Chris, we're rooting for you. I appreciate you coming on. I hope you'll tell us what happens.